Today we're going to talk about flexibility. Flexibility is the ability of a joint to move in a variety of range of motions per skeletal muscle. Flexibility could include static and dynamic flexibility. Static flexibility is more like a stable, flexible. Um, it could be achieved by a gravitational force or partner. That's much more like we're going to do today on our assessments. For our assessments, we're going to need a measuring tape, as you see here. We're going to need a sit and reach box for the Canadian trunk flexion. We're going to need a meter stick for the YMCA flexion test. The YMCA is kind of the same way as a Canadian trunk flexion, except you don't use the sit and reach. And we're gonna need masking tape for the sit and reach test. Right now, you're gonna see why we need this materials in a moment. So before any assessment overall, it's good to warm up 5 minutes to 10 minutes prior to the assessment. Aerobic exercise is preferably um, recommended. You can warm up using a treadmill, a cycle, or a stepper. So yeah, preferably it's important to do aerobic exercise before any assessment. The Canadian trunk forward flexion test and the YMCA student reach test are basically the same. So it holds the same instructions, except you don't use the student reach box. The Canadian trunk forward flexion test measures hamstring and lower back flexion, as well for the YMCA student reach test. The YMCA student reach test is more for like if you have limited equipment. You could use a simple masking tape and a meter stick. The key components of a Canadian student reach trunk forward flexion test. It's you have to remove your shoes right before you start your assessment. Sit with feet flat against the box. Reach forward. Don't use jerky movements or anything like that. Exhale as you reach and you hold for 2 seconds. You should keep your hands as close as possible over the other. Ensure the knees are not bent, and you have to try it best out of two test scores. It's going to be measured in centimeters. You subtract 3 centimeters. The chair sit and reach test is for older populations. The chair must be 17 inches in height and placed against the wall. No need to remove the shoes. Extend one leg with ankle dorsiflex. Keep untested leg flat on the floor. Keep head in normal alignment. Participant must exhale when reaching forward. Hold for 2 seconds. Need second person to hold ruler and assist scoring in inches. Space between big toe and fingertips as negative score. If finger passes the toe, count it as a positive score. If touches the toes, it's considered a zero score. The Thomas test is a hip flexor flexibility. You lie supine on your back, bring legs to the chest. If straight leg remains in contact with the mat, hip flexors of the edge are flexible. Score as flexible or inflexible. Need second person to assist. Switch to other leg. Finally, the YMCA sit and reach is basically the same thing as the Canadian hip flexion. You have to remove your shoes, place yardstick on the floor, place strip of tape on on the 15-inch mark. Sorry, place feet on the tape again, edge 10 to 12 inch. Reach forward as you reach. Fingers must touch yardstick. Hold for 2 seconds. Do not lead with one hand. Ensure knees are not bent. So after you get your scores, you go to your table on your book. You categorize yourself on all three in all three protocols. I came up as inflexible. On the Canadian trunk flexion forward flexion test, I need improvement with a 22 centimeter reach. For the YMCA student reach test, I reached 14 inches. 14 inches ranks below average for 30%. The chair student reach test, I ranked 2 inches and 2 inches on the right as well. Finally, for the Thomas test, I ranked inflexible for both legs, left and right. So overall, I'm inflexible, below average, or needs improvement. Here's our data.